You will also be elevated. Nobody is too high and nobody is too low. So guarantee from the Alter Rebbe. So that applies to every single shir today and tomorrow and every single companion. I want to also share with you just one thing. More than one thing, but I want to share with you. First of all, you tell me if I've asked a question. What's the common denominator between your Tes Kislev, Pesach, Hanukkah, and Purim, aside of the fact that they're not from the Torah? Besides the fact they are rabbinical holidays, I want a common denominator between all three. Huh?
What did you say?
Hanukkah, Purim, and Tes Kislev.
They all have to do with life.
All have to live with?
With life, no.
With life. What do you mean?
With light.
With light. Okay, light. How is Purim light? Okay, very good. I'm not going to let you down. For the Jews, it was Oira. The mother says Oira means Torah. Was able to flourish when the miracle occurred. Jews were saved. Hanukkah, of course, we have the Hanukkah lights. And then we also have Yud Tes Kislev, which of course, it says the light and life of our souls were given to us. The letter from Rebbe Rashab. That it gave us a new way of looking at the world. Light doesn't add anything, by the way. Life doesn't add anything. Same body with all limbs, it just invigorates what's already there. Light doesn't add anything. You just see. Oh, now I can see. Everything was there before the light was turned on. So Chassidus gives a whole different perspective in life. And one way is light. Light and life are two different types of influence. Light just shines whether you're ready or not. The sun rays heats up the world, but the world doesn't get permanently heated by it. There's no real intimate relationship between the sun rays and the earth that it's shining on. It's makif. Body and soul, on the other hand, the soul, the chai, is not just that it adds, it invigorates the body, but it transforms the body into a living entity. The body is no longer a piece of flesh, it's part of a live person. So there are different kinds of influences Chassidus has. Light, like, whoa, all of a sudden it just shines bright, but you really can't relate to it that well, but you do feel something, but you feel it's something hovering over you. And then it also has the chayus, which is something you can relate to, you can feel it. It changes you, it transforms you. But that's not what I had in mind, by the way. What's the other common denominator between the three? You'll be surprised to hear this. Women. Women were the heroes. Hanukkah, Yehudis. She risked her life and severed the head of this Halifernia, the Greek general. And once that happened, that was the downfall of the whole Greek army, Halifernia. Then you have, of course, Esther, Megillus Esther. Not just she was part of the miracle, the whole Megillah is called out her name. She actually made it happen. And then you have Tes Kislev. Both Esther and Yehudis did not sacrifice their lives, they risked their lives. But there's a woman whose name was Devorah Leah, the second daughter of the Alter Rebbe. He had three daughters, Freda, Devorah Leah, and Rachel. Devorah Leah, the second daughter, understood the danger of what was going on. The Alter Rebbe confided with her that my life is in danger. There's a big, tremendous kitrug l'maylo. We'll talk about it in the Sicha, and my life is at stake right now. When she heard that, she brought in the greatest scholars, greatest Hasidim, who were mind over matter, mind over heart, incredible deep thinkers. And these people never could lose themselves. They never panic. She created a Beis Din. She said, I want to create a Beis Din that you should agree with what I am going to tell you. And you have to agree with me before I tell you what I want. And they were hesitant. They thought it over after a whole 24 hours, and then they decided we have to, she's the Alter Rebbe's daughter. And she said, Kach v'kach, my father is in very, very great danger, and I know that I am the only one. If I give my life away, he will be saved, and Chassidus will be saved. They try to stop her. We'll give our lives away. You can't disagree with me. Remember, we had a deal. I will give my life away. I'm asking only one thing. And she asked from her father only one thing, that her father should take care of her son, little Nachum Mendel, who became the Tzemach Tzedek. They were, to say they panicked, and they had lost themselves is an understatement. She mamish overpowered them. And when it came to Rosh Hashanah, her father wanted to say, Lashana Taiva, she stopped him. She did not allow her father to give her a baracha. And she interrupted him. She got sick the second day of Rosh Hashanah and passed away on some Gedalia. Very sad story. It's a very sad part of the Megillah Yud Tes Kislev. A Megillah was written. They would want to even read it, but Alter Rebbe said not to do. And this is a sad part, very sad part of the Megillah, of the story of Yud Tes Kislev, one of the sad parts, where the Alter Rebbe Mamish lost his daughter. And but she's the hero. What would Yud Tes Kislev be like without her? Who knows? And I always wondered, maybe I shouldn't be wondering, but I'm wondering, how come there's no special emphasis on women for this holiday? But one thing is for sure, not less, that you people, you're all special neshamas, no question about it. And it's the neshama of a woman that saved the Alter Rebbe and saved Chassidus. So Chassidus really relates to everyone here in this room. Maybe even more than it relates to me. It relates to me quite a bit also, because I teach a lot, but it relates to every single Jew, whether you're a Lubavitcher, not a Lubavitcher, has an impact. I want to just mention one more thing about Yud Tes Kislev. It's endless. You can talk. In fact, I forbrang the whole night last night, and I'm very tired. And I'm also going to another farbrengen afterwards, right after this class. I have to forbrang for young girls in a different school, and I'm tired. But it's hard to get tired. What?
Would you like a coffee?
It doesn't help me at this stage. I'll make the coffee tired instead of coffee waking me up. So I'll say l'chaim on water. Mashke. I had enough mashke last night. See this Chabad. This is a story I'll mention to you in a minute. It's a small munkis. A very interesting story, but Chassidus Chabad is unique. The Chabad Shita is, there's nothing that is outside of Elikos. Elikos, godliness, is everywhere, and everything is God. Not just as God imposed himself everywhere, but everywhere, the everywhereness, all things that seem to be not godly, tip their hats and give their final haskama. The Elikos is the ultimate. That's the sheet of Chassidus Chabad. Chabad Chassidus doesn't mean we're intellectuals. It means that the emunah, the fire of emunah, which the Baal Shem Tov awakened within us, has made peace with intellect. Intellect is very cold. Why? Who says? How do you know? It causes people to get cold when you use it too much. So the Polish Chassidim, those that were the colleagues of the Alter Rebbe but disagreed with his shita, felt you got to put this seichel as a threat. If you think too much, you're going to have too many questions. So let's just awaken our neshama with the amunah, with the warmth of the Baal Shem Tov's teachings, and that will just melt away all the questions you have. The Alter Rebbe said, no, why are you considering anything to be a threat to Yiddishkeit? Everything is Elikos. We can find Elikos in cold seichel. That intelligence, using your mind, can be a helping tool to strengthen your emunah, not in spite of my mind, I still have emunah. One of the reasons why Chabad doesn't have payas, you ever hear? We have payas, but we don't have long payas. Talk to the men. What does payas stand for? What is payas? It's a bridge between the hair of the head and the hair of the beard. So it says in Kabbalah, by men, that hair by boys on the head is keser. It's wild, it's chaotic, it's tohu. That's why babies grow their hair long, and baby boys until 3. When you're in the babyhood, your connection is a non-rational connection. It's keser as a crown that supersedes intellect. Children you think that they are just little babies and they're irrational, but the irrational behavior of a baby can be rooted in something that's super rational. There was once a kid going through Dallas to the Rebbe, a little baby, who was on the way on the line, was making such a fuss, screaming and crying and kvetching, and it was impossible. As soon as the baby came to the Rebbe, The Rebbe gave a look, and the baby stopped crying. Now, the Rebbe didn't do any ma'ifas over there. The Rebbe was telling the baby, I understand you. I know where you're coming from. I know exactly where you're coming from. Somehow that calmed the baby down without doing any miracles, Rebbe miracles. So, that's the hair of the head. The hair of the beard, it says, is chachma. Chachma sima, most esoteric part of chachma. But it's chachma, it's wisdom, it's seichel. I'm not getting into any, but at least that's what it says. So the other Hasidim who believe in overriding your seichel, putting it to sleep, drugging it, hypnotizing it by a more powerful drug called emunah, they have these long payas to cover this, cover up the beard, cover it up. In Chabad, we say, why should we cover it up? Let's make a bridge. There's the hair of the head, the hair of the beard, and we have a payas, perfect, it lines flush into the beard, showing that intellect and keser are friendly, we don't get scared of things that are, of questions on Judaism, we don't get scared of that. Let me tell you a Shmuel Munkus story, then we'll go right to the Sicha. Know Shmuel Munkus? You ever hear of him? Yeah, sure. He was a character, interesting character. He would make it better than any comedian that we know about today. He was really, he was a tzaddik. He wasn't just a comedian, he was mamish tzaddik. And he was traveling, doing his traveling, it was the middle of the night, it was like 2 or 3 a.m. Looking for a house to lodge, looking for a house to stay, and he sees at a distance, he sees a light. Must be the Alter Rebbe. Who else would be up so late? Knocks on the door. You know the story? What does the Alter Rebbe answer? Can I help you? Yeah, I'm Shmuel Munkus, and I want to become your chassid. In the middle of the night? You couldn't come earlier? So he tells the Alter Rebbe, I thought by a Rebbe there is no night. Pretty sharp, huh? Alter Rebbe continues and resorts. In the middle of the night, you come to me, go to other houses. So he says, but I want you. I want to stay over in your house. Listen, Shmuel, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to call my goy to chase you out. So Shmuel Munkus says, my goy is bigger than your goy. And the Alter Rebbe lets him in. Does this story make any sense? What's going on over here? Don't let a Jew in the middle of the night. A chassid, a yid who wants to have a place to sleep. Boy, you got to throw him out. Middle of the night, there's no night, there is night. What's going on over here? So I heard this is the Rebbe's beard. Making sense out of the story. Chabad Chassidus is not the same as any other Chassidus. You want to be my chassid, you want to sleep in my house, which means you want to be my chassid, what you're saying. You want only me. Well, when you said to me, there is no night, it sounded like Polish. It sounded like non-Chabad, because the Polish Hasidim try to ignore and isolate themselves from the concealment of the world and just flush and drown the world with light so that darkness doesn't exist. You was telling me that there is no, by a Rebbe, there is no darkness. Oh, if you want that kind of Rebbe, then I'm not your Rebbe. But then when you said, no, Rebbe, I have a goy. In fact, my goy is bigger than your goy. I have issues. I deal with it. I'm not, being in denial that I have no goyishkeit. I have nothing negative in my life. I do have. And I want to work with it. I want to transform it. I want to transform darkness into light. I don't ignore the darkness. I utilize darkness to shed more light. Oh, then you can come in. Then you're mine. So Chabad Hasidus does not allow any angle, any corner of anywhere in the world to be an enemy or oppose Yiddishkeit. Chabad penetrates, permeates. That's why it's compared to oil. Oil has 2 interesting characteristics. It rises above liquids and it saturates all solids. Interesting. Liquid with liquid mixes faster with liquid and solids, right? But liquid and liquid are the same texture. And yet oil remains above all liquids. And yet it's saturated. What does that mean? There's a part of us that transcends. We're beyond, with Hasidus, we're beyond everything in this world. And that's the reason why we're able to saturate and penetrate and affect every part of our world, our own personal world and the world out there. So we're above, and therefore we're within. Only if you are unlimited and you stand and you rise above the rest of the world, can you safely saturate, penetrate, permeate without being affected. In fact, transforming the world. But if you yourself are, you mix with the world, you can't fix it. So Chabad Hasidus gives us the koyach, the strength to be able to be like oil, not to get mixed, to realize who we are. I don't mean with other Jews, I mean with the Goyish world. We're as Jewish and as different can be. Yet, we're not threatened by it, and we're willing to tackle it and transform and refine the outside world. Not to run away from the darkness, but to transform it. Part of Shalom Nafshi. We make peace with everything that seems to be alien to Judaism. This is the reason why the Alter Rebbe did not want, you know the story with Kiddush Levana story?
Yeah.
Okay, but before we get to the Kiddush Levana story, I want to tell you the Ayeka story. You know the Ayeka story of who?
Yeah.
Yeah? So I'm going to tell you something that I heard from my brother. What's Rashi's chat? Why did Hashem ask Adam Ayeka, where are you? He didn't know where he was. What did Rashi say? Not to scare him. Not to scare him. No. Adam, where are you? Oh, so he doesn't sound so godly when he asks me that question. Make him feel comfortable. Not to scare him, he should lose himself. What's the Alter Rebbe's shot? Where are you in your life? What's the connection? My brother said a very good word. There's two kinds of ayekas. Where are you? Shame on you. Screaming at the person, ayeka. That's what you do? You're a lowlife. Or ayeka. You're learning you can do so much better. You're so much better than that. It's the Rashi type of ayeka. We're incorporating Rashi into the Alter Rebbe. Where are you in fulfilling your mission? But how am I asking that? Where are you? You are a star. You're a diamond. You have an neshama. You're much stronger than all your obstacles. You have obstacles. We know them, but you're so much stronger than they are than the obstacles. You're invincible. That's the kind of ayeka that Alter Rebbe was talking about. He was amazed. He guessed the exact age of this person. I think it was 53. There are 53 portions of Torah. There are 53 chapters in Tanya. And this guy, this investigator official was 53 years old. The Alter Rebbe said, if a person reaches the age of 53, that was his age, he got, whoa, this man can read my mind. Knows this. How does he know how old I am? Then goes the next story with when the Alter Rebbe was taking the boat ride, further investigated, ferried by boat from one city to another city to interrogate him, asking him all kinds of questions. He wanted to be, it was night, and he wanted to be Mekadosh Levana, he wanted to sanctify the moon. But you can't do that when you're not standing in one place. The boat has to stand. The boat has to come to a stop. The Alter Rebbe asked him, can you please stop the boat? Since when do you tell me what to do? We're not stopping, we're going. So the Alter Rebbe stopped the boat. Miraculously, he didn't allow, the boat couldn't move. Then the Alter Rebbe started saying, he only started it. And then what happened? The Alter Rebbe said, now I'm asking you, as the boat when it moved again, now please stop the boat. The boat continued. And the Alter Rebbe said, now can you stop the boat? So he began to see, you don't blame the Alter Rebbe. He willingly stopped the boat this time. Then the Alter Rebbe continued and finished saying Kiddush Levana. Why did the Alter Rebbe do that? Why didn't he say the whole thing once the boat stopped the first time? Why did he wait? The answer is because we don't want to impose upon the world. We want the world to agree that it's time for Kiddush Levana. Same thing with the axle. The Alter Rebbe was traveling to his prison cell. It was a Friday afternoon, and the Alter Rebbe says, I must stop. I don't travel on Friday afternoon. Even though it's not even close to Shabbos, from Friday afternoon on, I don't do any malacha. That was the Alter Rebbe's. And they started laughing at him. Who are you to tell us what to do? So what happened? A minute later, the axle broke. fixed the axle, the horse died. Got another horse, didn't move. Began to see that the Alter Rebbe you can't play around with. And the Alter Rebbe, it was a special tree. The only tree that was not barren was the tree of the Alter Rebbe. Up till today, it still grows, still leaves growing on that tree. And the Alter Rebbe sat there for the whole Shabbos and remained there until the end. When this person saw the Alter Rebbe's greatness, he asked the Alter Rebbe for a bracha for Arichas Yomim to live long. And the Alter Rebbe gave him a bracha to live long, and the bracha was fulfilled. Then the story goes with the Alter Rebbe having two guests. But first he had the Tsar, but the Tsar wanted to see. I heard some great things about this rabbi. Let me check. I'm going to disguise myself in civilian clothing, and as soon as the Tsar, who is disguised as a civilian, walks in, the Alter Rebbe stands up, and he said, "What are you standing up for me? I'm not the Tsar. You're insulting the Tsar if you're standing up for me." So the Alter Rebbe says, "You are, because I sensed an awe. When you walked in, I sensed a special kind of awe that I never felt before." And it says the Malchus down here is connected to the Malchus Shamayim. The Alter Rebbe felt a connection to Malchus Shamayim. And that was like, wow. But then the Alter Rebbe had better guests. Who are the real guests? Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid. And here's our Sicha right now. So let's start the Sicha. It's a Sicha that really... Yeah. Oh, I didn't give it out. I'm going to try to, I know I spent a lot of time on this, but I want to. What page is it on? You say the page on? Okay. Hakitrug al limud hachasidus be'eis meister admor hazakim. The prosecution on the learning of Chassidus during the incarceration of the Alter Rebbe. And then, prior to that, there was another prosecution against in the time of the Maggid, against the teachings and promulgating of Chassidus. So the Sicha begins, Misupar, it is told, when the Alter Rebbe was in prison, Bo, Pei Aleph stands for Pam Akas, one time, Levakroi, to visit him. Who? Rabbosov, his teachers from the world of truth. The Alma Dikshot, what's Kshot? Alma is Aramaic for world, Kshot means truth, from Gan Eden. Rabbi Harava Magid and Vahabal Shem Tov Nishmasa Eid. The Alter Rebbe asked them, Lama Magilai, why do I deserve to go through all this? What are they asking from me? The Hishivolo, and they responded that there's an intensification of the prosecution against him because he says too much chassidus openly, and a large amount of chassidus is revealed to the masses. And that's why he's suffering. Sometimes when you have something that's so holy and it goes like it's being used for people who are not really fit, not treating it properly, it causes a kitrug, like if you see Sfarim on the floor. Walk into a shul, you see books, Sfarim, Chumashim on the floor. What's going on? So it causes a kitrug, it causes a, that this maybe the shul shouldn't exist anymore. People are treating it disrespectfully. Likewise, with the Alter Rebbe, there was a kitrug against him as well, because he was revealing too much chassidus. Chassidus is like a very precious jewel, and you can't reveal it too much. So he asked the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid, should I continue? Should I stop? The Heshibolo, and they responded, Kivon Shehizchalto, since you had Mesiras Nefesh to start, al tafsik, do not stop. But Adarabah, when you'll get out of here, look at your Teitze, Toimar Yoiseh, when you get out of this prison, you shall say more. Ad kan tochen hasikra. This is the end of the story. In other words, I'm going to read quickly. Ma'asori shel Rabbeinu hazakin lemato. The real reason why the Alter Rebbe was incarcerated is not. Anyone know the non-real reason? Down here, what do they accuse him of? Treason. Sending money to Israel. Turkish government was in charge of, inhabited Israel, and they were enemies of the Russian government. And by him sending money to support the Jews, there was a false accusation that he's actually supporting the Turkish government. That's not the real reason. That was just down here. The real reason why they were able to put the Alter Rebbe in prison is because upstairs in heaven, there was a prosecution against him. Okay, so therefore, the Alter Rebbe had a doubt whether he should continue. Now let's look at the third paragraph. This is very puzzling. A generation before, in the time of the Maggid, why is everyone laughing today? Anyone have any reason why there's a lot of distractions?
מרגישים את הקדושה, מרגישים את היום מיוחד כזה.
You really mean it? I'll say l'chaim. So, you know the story with the Maggid? In the time of the Maggid, Maggid's life was in danger. Guess who saved his life? The Alter Rebbe. What was the danger? He was revealing Chassidus too.
What he did?
He was revealing too much Chassidus. The Maggid. Maggid is the teacher of the Alter Rebbe. And there was, like this was on the floor, all the teaching, the manuscripts of his writings, the Maggid's writings were not treated properly, were stepped over. There's a pasuk in Eicha, Lamentations, which says that the holy stones of the Beis Hamikdash were being treaded upon. And likewise, the writings of the Rebbes were being stepped upon, not treated properly. Causes a tremendous prosecution in Lamaila against the Maggid. Guess who saved the Maggid's life? The Alter Rebbe. What was the story? The crown jewel story. You know the crown jewel story. That even though it's the crown of the king's, the jewel, the most expensive jewel of the king's crown, the crown itself is what makes the king a king. It's royalty. And then there's the precious gem on the crown. Chopping it up, crushing it, liquefying it. Yes, to save the life of a child who's in a coma. But you can't get the stone. Even if you liquefy it, his mouth is closed. You can't get anything into his mouth. But if you might get one drop, even though it's a very far-fetched possibility, it's worthwhile to try to use the last resort to save the child, even by crushing the most precious stone of the crown of the king, the crown jewel. That's the case? True. Most of the chassidus goes to waste. But if one drop can help the Jewish people serve Hashem better, and the prince, we're the prince, and give us chayas, give us life, it's worth it. Wow. That muscle saved the Maggid. Guess what? We're stuck. If that's the case, why was there a second prosecution against the Alter Rebbe? He's the one, he himself was the one to remove the prosecution against his teacher with the perfect parable of the sick prince. And you think the Jews were on a higher level in the time of the Alter Rebbe than the Maggid? On a lower level. As generations go on, as we get closer and closer, we're further away from the giving of the Torah, closer to Mashiach. But as time goes on, the generations go down. That being the case, we certainly need the crown jewel, even a drop of the crown jewel, a drop to get into our mouths to help. If it can help one single Jew, it's worthwhile. So why was there a second prosecution? This is the Rebbe's question. I'll just read it inside, then I'm going to skip around, get to the end of the Sicha. This, at first glance, this requires clarification. Kitrug misug zeh, a kitrug, a prosecution of this nature, kvar hayav bizman nesiyoto shel Rav HaMaggid, already existed in the leadership of the teacher of the Alter Rebbe, who's called Harav HaMaggid, the Mezritcha Maggid. Ukiyadua hasipur oidois hakitrug oz v'sibaseh, is well known, the whole story behind it. Shapam, one time, Motzu Ksav Shal Chasidus, they found a writing of Chasidus, his galgil b'moken guilty roy, that was rolling in a very unclean place. And there was a tremendous prosecution aroused against the Maggid, that he is mefarsing, he's publicizing the secrets of all secrets. But often, and here he quotes a verse, a pasuk in Eicha, that the holy stones of the Beis Hamikdash were being treaded upon in the middle of the street. Likewise, the writings of the holy concepts of Chassidus from the Maggid were being stepped on, were being not treated properly, were found in the street, in dirty streets, dirty alleyways. Rabbeinu Hazaken Bito Asakitruk, he he nullified this prosecution. Story with the prince that was sick with a very dangerous illness. So the they only found one medication, one thing that could help him. To take the precious stone that is set in the Kester Malchus the crown, royal crown of the king. Sheba, with this stone, totally kol hayoker the Kester Malach. The entire value of the king's crown is contingent upon that precious stone. The shachakah, to grind it, will the arva, and after it's ground into water, to mix it with water. The lishvayich mitaruva zu lebein sfasal shel ben hamelach. To pour this mixture between the lips of the prince. The tikva, with the hope. It's the next page already. On the top line. Shekuli hai v'ulai. Perhaps with all the effort, perhaps v'ulai, maybe tikanes tipa achat. Maybe one droplet will enter the mouth of the prince and save his life. Shekeinhu, so the same says, Alter Rebbe says, that's what's happening today. The prince, the Jewish people are very much not well. Judaism is in danger of disintegrating. We need the royal crown. We need Chassidus. Asher Pirsun Razei, which is the idea of the precious stone, Kedaihu, it's worthwhile to crush it and let it be, who knows where, to be found in all different places, as long as one drop of it gets into the mouth of the Jewish people. So the question is, why was there another kitrug? What's the Rebbe's answer? So on page Kuf Chav Tes, the third page. To understand the answer, we have to understand, why was Chassidus not revealed earlier? Is it because it's meant to be a secret? It's too holy? For example, a Sefer Torah. You have no right to take a Sefer Torah out of the ark and read. You read from a Chumash. You're not allowed to use a Sefer Torah unless you're using it for laning or for dancing on Simchas Torah. It's meant to be hidden, meant to be in the Aron Kodesh. It's holy, and holiness is sacred. Sacredness demands removed from public use. Is that why Chassidus was not revealed earlier? No. If that would be the reason, there would be no permit to use it today, to learn today either. Because it says back in the time of the Gemara, and even the Rambam's time, it's written, do not teach these esoteric teachings to anyone unless that person is kind of very refined and holy and has a special neshama. It's not meant to be revealed to everyone. You're not allowed to reveal it. But that's only because, not objective, but subjective. It's not that Chassidus inherently can't be revealed. It's because we weren't worthy of it. We were not receptacles for it, for the most part. Throughout all the generations. So what happened in the time of the Maggid, they were receptacles? To save a life, we do everything. Before the Maggid's times, people were not on a very high level, but they weren't in danger of losing their Judaism as much as it is time of the Maggid. When Golos got stronger, it's right after the terrible massacres of the 1600s, 1648, Chmielnicki, Yamach Shmoi, and Judaism Jews were in a state of losing everything. So they needed a jolt. That's the reason. In other words, the reason why it wasn't revealed is only because we weren't receptacles, not because Chassidus demands isolation from the public. It's meant to be learned. It's part of Torah, if you're up to it. If you're able to relate to it in a proper way and not misunderstand it, misconstrue. And it was very easy to misconstrue these ideas, and that's why it was never meant to be taught to the public. But when the time came where the Jewish people were losing everything, time of the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid, this is when we have the mashal or the Keser HaMelech with the crown jewels to save a life. True, you're right, we're not on a very high level, but because we're on a very low level, our lives are at stake. To save a life, you play around even with a crown jewel and you crush it, even though most of it won't even go into the mouth of the prince. That being the case, so the Rebbe says, we have the answer to the question as to why there was a kitrug in the time of the Alter Rebbe again. In order to save a life, to save the life of the Jewish people, you don't need long maimorim, long, dragged out, elaborate teachings of all the four worlds and how to explain the Yeshmi. You don't. All you need is a warm one sentence, one-liner to awaken the neshama of a yid. That was missing. You don't have to explain everything. Just tell them ideas in a story form. Just a droplet, one drop. But the Alter Rebbe didn't do that. He started explaining Hasidus Chabad. He started elaborating, giving more than the prince needed for survival. If you start giving more Hasidus than what's needed for survival, stop right there, another prosecution. Okay, the Alter Rebbe was right. To save the king's life, it's worthy of saying warm words, but keep it short. The Alter Rebbe elaborated. He started teaching Chassidus in a Chabad form, with parables, analogies, bringing it down, and it was too much. You don't need that. It's luxury. It's a beautiful thing to have, but you don't need it. So why did the Alter Rebbe reveal it? Because we need that for Mashiach. We all know the second reason why Chassidus was revealed is because when you get to the atmosphere of Mashiach, we have to prepare, just like on Shabbos, before Shabbos, what do you eat? You eat some of the kugel before Shabbos to taste the foods of Shabbos. Mashiach is Shabbos. Right now it's Friday afternoon, millennium-wise. We're in Friday afternoon already. Friday afternoon, you start preparing for Shabbos. Taste some kugel, taste some chicken, taste some chicken soup. We taste. It's only a taste, but you are thinking about the Shabbos. Oh, am I getting you hungry? We're thinking about the Shabbos food before Shabbos. So right as a preparation for Mashiach, we prepare by learning concepts that will be further clarified when Mashiach will come. If we don't learn these things, when Mashiach will come and teach us these things, because then the main teaching will be only Chassidus. After Mashiach comes, we won't need to learn halacha. We'll be able to understand everything through the teachings of Chassidus. Everything will be clear. We'll be able to visual, because Mashiach will give us the power to visualize godliness, not only to, that's why he'll be able to teach so many different people all at once. How do you take care of a class of millions of people? So you zoom in through visualizing godly concepts. And when you see something, you see a picture, a painting, you see all at once. Then when you want to explain it, it takes time. But visual is much faster than audio. You see everything all at once. So Mashiach, so we have to prepare for that. If we're going to not learn these concepts, Mashiach will come. What's that? What? But now we at least know what we don't understand. Mashiach will come, we'll go, so that's what Olam Atzilus is all about. So that's what the four worlds are all about. Now, I had a vague understanding, but now what I try to understand, I see it clearly right now. What I was just hearing about and being acquainted with all these concepts, now I can see it like I see my 5 fingers. So we have to prepare for Mashiach. Preparing for Mashiach is not good enough just to take one droplet. Story form. You have to learn and internalize and really get into the meat of the teachings of Chassidus. This answers an interesting question. The Gemara says a person should divide their day into 3. 1/3 of a day learning Chumash, Tanakh. Maybe it's probably for boys more. The other 1/3 for Mishnah, and the other 1/3 for Gemara. Oh. Very good question. Where does Chassidus come in? Which part? So the answer is, in Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe says, Chassidus is part of the Gemara. Why? Because Gemara clarifies, makes things clear, and you learn it, questions and answers and questions. It's really Chabad. So Chassidus is really, it's another part of Gemara learning. It's like Gemara learning. It goes into that category. But wait a second. The Alter Rebbe himself, in his writings of the Kutei Torah, says, no, it's part of Mishnah, part of Mikra, it's part of Chumash. Because just like Chumash, you read and you're missing a lot of information. How do you put on tefillin? Shatam le'ot al yadecha. Put a sign on your hand. Where? Which part of the hand? What's the sign mean? Black boxes? Let's say black boxes. Rest on Shabbos. What does rest on Shabbos mean? What should I not do? It's vague. It's not clear. But it's beautiful. It's powerful. Chumash is the source of everything. So that, therefore, Chassidus is also like that. It's vague, and therefore it's part of Chumash. So the question is, make up your mind. Is it part of Chumash? Is it in the Mikra or is it in the Talmud? The answer is, it depends how you're learning it. If you're learning before the Alter Rebbe's Chassidus, the Maggid's Chassidus, which is just short points, story form, that's Mikra. That would be part of Chumash. If you're learning elaborate questions and answers like you learn on a Maimon Chassidus with 5, 6, 7, 10 pages of questions and answers, and you get to delve deep into the discourse, that's Gemara. The Rebbe says, but today we've fallen so low that we have to learn even the deep, intricate stuff for saving our lives too. We need that not just to prepare for Mashiach, but also to save, because the Golos has gotten to us such an extent. Look out there, no need to prove anything. The Chayshach has gotten, right before the light of Mashiach, it gets very, very dark. So in order for us to be able to tackle this kind of darkness, we don't only need the droplets to save the prince's life, we need much more than that. But in addition to that, we also need to prepare for Mashiach. So we have two reasons for delving into the concept of Chassidus. Number one, it refines your mind, and when your mind is refined, it takes away a lot of other bad things, a lot of snakes and scorpions that enter into our mind, thoughts that are alien to Judaism, that's presented in many of the universities that we learn, we sometimes, communicate with, or friends that we have that are really in the dark and question the belief in God. So we need to fight that. And fighting that would be not enough just to hear some nice, warm words, powerful words that, like a fire, wake up our amunah. We need more than that. Today we need to really, from all angles, get ourselves ready. We should be fortified with enough intellect to be able to explain to people that are not privy to Yiddishkeit, that they should be able to relate to us on a rational level. Because just by amunah, it's going to be hard to mikayah somebody and yourself also sometimes. We need to digest, get nourished from what we learn. It should make sense to us, to be understandable. So we throw analogies after analogies and analogies. Chassidus is full of mishalim. This one mashal wasn't good enough for you. Another mashal it's continuously throwing us mishalim for us to be able to absorb in an intellectual fashion what we're told that normally you just accept it with emunah. This is the gist of the Sicha. Now, we have a few minutes. Remember last week we were talking about tshuva. It shouldn't be forced upon you. You should choose it yourself. So I want to tell you a story of the Alter Rebbe after his passing. They say that there was there were two Jews that were hanging around the city of Hadich. Yeah. They don't look very firm at all. And no beards. Very chilled. What do they say today? Chilled. Amalek, cools you off. So people chill. I don't like that word. You just got is warm. We don't chill. We relax, but you don't chill. Chill is a Amalek word. Amalek comes to cool you off with all kinds of doubts. Anyway, they look chilled. And they're asking, where is the Alter Rebbe's Ohel? So the Alter Rebbe's grandson, Reb Nochem, his name was, he saw these, what do they want? What do they want? So he showed them where the oil is. Quite curious to know what they want over there. And when they went to the Ohel, what did he see? He witnessed people crying their hearts out, crying and crying and crying, and they were davening with Hazak Havana. It mamish affected the Alter Rebbe's grandson. Wow, I wish I could daven like that. But they weren't from. They didn't look from. How they go with that yarmulke? I don't mean maybe they had a yarmulke. I'm not sure, but they didn't look very religious at all. So after they finished, can you tell me your story? Like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? The Alter Rebbe's Ohel. And they said, here's our story. We were tailors, small city, and we had a hard time making a living. After a while, it's very difficult. Our families grew bigger, and to support a family of 8, 9, 10, it's not going to cut it. So we decided to move to a different city, or to travel to a different city where there are Jews, where we can have a minyan 3 times a day, to see if we can make more money. But we realized that there's only one tailor in that city, and he can barely make a living. We're going to ruin him. I mean, it's not enough for 3 tailors. So we decided after being there for a couple of weeks, we got to go to a non-Jewish city. There is more wealth and people can afford more. Of course, they would miss a minyan, but they would daven 3 times a day. And they would become more successful. As time went on, they got more and more successful in their business. Business grew. And one day they forgot to daven mincha. And boy, did that bother them. They did tshuva when they made up, when they davened Meyer, they davened Tushman Esrei to make up for what they missed. And they felt never again. But you know what happened? A week later, they forgot mincha again. This time they didn't feel so bad. They got used to it. They made it up again, but it was like, it didn't jolt them. Then after a while, I missed every now and then a mincha and a ma'ariv, and didn't bother them with no mincha ma'ariv, just, shachris. Put on tefillin, take it off, that was it. And then they started missing a few days tefillin also. You know how it goes, down little by little. One day, one of their best customers offers them a real good meal. This time they were still keeping Shabbos and kosher. Offers them some food. Some of it was treif, some of it was not, vegetables, but they were cooked in a non-kosher keli. And they accepted the vegetables. The vegetables are kosher, so it was cooked, probably okay, gets nullified here and there, and they ate it. Not long after they started eating out non-kosher food, Shabbos went down the drain until they gave everything up completely. They felt a little uncomfortable and they missed their home sweet home. They were away for a long time, and their families missed them, and they feel, they're going to have a hard time with their families looking at them. They look different. They shaved their beard. They look totally different. But we have to go home. Home is home, and hopefully our family will accept us the way we are. We're still Jewish, and we still believe in, we're not from anymore. On the way back, they stopped at an inn in Vienna, Far Vienna. You know what that is?
Well, that's not far from that.
Yeah. On the way, two guys come in, well dressed, and they asked the balabas over there, the innkeeper, we'd like to have a room, and we'd like to have, of course, a meal. And somehow, interestingly, you're Jewish, right? Yeah. So you probably want kosher food. No, it's okay. As long as the food is good, we'll take any kind of food you have. Just make sure it's good food. Okay, sure. I'll bring you to your room. Brings him to the room. You heard the story?
Yeah.
No, I could tell. Who didn't hear the story? Who didn't hear? Who did not? They have to raise their hands. Who didn't hear the story? Oh. Make believe you didn't hear. Where did you hear the story? Last year? From? Was it me? Right. No, it's okay. It's better because then at least I feel a little bit better that you remember something. I always feel that these classes I never remember. Make believe you. Every time you hear a story, can you get some other? And what about Dvorah? You also heard the story? No? Okay. Shall I continue?
Yeah. Yes.
So they're being very happily brought to their beautiful room, spacious room over there. As soon as they get in, they're about to rest on the bed, waiting for the meal. All of a sudden, the door closes and they're locked in. What's going on here? They're knocking. No answer. There's no, they were trapped. They feel like this is a trick. It's a trap. They go to the window, it's impossible to get through. Can't break it. It's thick. In fact, the window is too small even to go through anyways. So they're stuck. Started knocking. So they hear a noise. Barge. The guy comes after they're knocking. The guy comes in. This warden comes in with axes and who knows what else. Knives and axes, and he comes in and says, "We're here to kill you. And your time is limited. In a few moments, we're going to sever your head." So he said, okay, we'll give you all our money. Can you just take our money instead? And then you go to the police. How do we become rich? We take all your money. That we'll do anyways. But then we kill. Or we kill first, then we take your money. Sorry, nothing doing. As they're about to take the axe in their hands, they beg and plead, please, 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 please give us 24 hours for us to, talk to our creator. Okay, surprisingly, they're surprised. They allowed it. 24 hours more to live. They leave. If you dare try to, if I hear any commotion, I'm going to not wait the 24 hours. I'm going to kill you on the spot. They were shivering. They had a pair of tefillin in their cases. Took out a pair of tefillin the first time in a long time. They haven't worn tefillin. Many months went by. Put on tefillin. They say their prayers, and boy, do they say their prayers. They're dying. Here's to help. If you ever get us out of here, a miracle, we'll change our lives completely. We'll go back to the way we were before, and even better. Please, please, please. And if not, we want to just do tshuva anyways. We want to repent for all that which we did. And they had to do it quietly because they were told, noise, you're in trouble. So then all of a sudden they couldn't control themselves and they burst out loud. As soon as they burst out loud and crying, the door opened. That's the end of our lives, right? It's 24 hours, weren't even up yet. The guy comes in with a smile and brings them a tray of kosher food. He says, here's some kosher food for you. What is going on over here? So the guy said, you have a great rabbi. He gave me a great blessing. I have been successful in my business. I've become a multimillionaire thanks to your rabbi, Meir Zalman Vladi, as he was called. And he told me before his passing, I'm giving you a big blessing, but I want you to do something for me. If you see two Jews entering and you're in, and they're willing to eat non-kosher food, make sure they repent. They do tshuva. Make sure. Find out, make sure that they regret not eating treif. And therefore, the only way I know, how did I know you're Jewish? Because when you walked in, there was a bang on the door, such a bang, but I knew it must be a sign. Because the Alter Rebbe told me that you'll have two Jews that will come in with and that's what happened. So even though you didn't look Jewish, I figured you're probably Jewish, you probably want kosher food. And when you said no, because what the Alter Rebbe said, the great rabbi said, if they decline and they say, no, we can eat any food, that's the two Jews I want you to. So after all, what happened was they did tshuva. And who do they have to thank for their whole lives? The Alter Rebbe. So they're going back to, instead of going home, they went back to Adich, to the Alter Rebbe's kever, back the other direction, away from home. And they're looking, where can they pour their hearts out and thank the Alter Rebbe for saving their spiritual lives. Story. This is not the way to do tshuva. Tshuva should be with that fervor without having to be forced upon by a goy. As an example of the kind of tshuva that we talked about that's not chosen. It was chosen for you. Milmaila, the Alter Rebbe was big in making balei tshuva, as you all know. Okay, we're going to stop here. It's a few minutes early. Any questions? Any answers? Any footnotes? Any footnotes besides the Yontif? What's your name? From where again? You're from Ukraine. And what's your friend? What's her name? From Ukraine too?
Yeah.
And what's your name? Also from Ukraine? Russia.
Yeah.
Why Ukraine? We like Russia. We also like Ukraine. Very nice. So take advantage of the day. Don't let the day go by without. You have you turn on the radio, you have different channels. You have to turn the radio on. But even though you don't turn the radio on, it's still there. But you're not listening. You have to tune in. And today you have all the channels: Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot, Yom Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Simchas Torah. Ma'aseh the other Tzemach Tzedek. They took it out Tanya and went Hakafot. He went Hakafot with the Tanya around the bima, and he said, first Hakafa, And when the Alter Rebbe heard that, he had tremendous amount of nachas. The Tzemach Tzedek was comparing the Tes Kislev to Simchas Torah, joy.
Do they do that in 770?
Huh?
Do they do that in 770?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Of course, a lot of dancing, a lot of powerful tonight. So I bring last night in the shul with mostly married guys, the men, and it was a good bringing. One of my colleagues from Miami, we went together in Miami for 3 years. He also was there, so we ran together. It's a time to bring, a time to take advantage of the day. Have a good Yud Tes, and that's the Yud Tes. Who's Lassa? Who is Lassa? He was Lassa. That was Lassa.
No, yeah.